You're with DraftKings now, but before that, you were with Barstool, and I loved that podcast. Not just because I like you mentioned, it had my boy Dallas, but also you even it out with the comedic relief and everything else. But now you're on a different platform. What was that transition like?
It was very rewarding because when you're a Barstool, it kind of gets beaten into your brain that you're just a product of the machine and that without the machine, you're not anything. And I mean, it was a year last month that we launched like Baseball is Dead. And like we're rivaling all the biggest podcasts. It's just us. Like obviously, we're paid by DraftKings, but they are just for the first time like launching like a media section of their company. Like there's no mothership that's pushing us to help us get out there. It's just us.
Mhm.
And with that, we are still like I think last week we were the #2 baseball podcast. Like after a year, because the way that the algorithm works is if you're a brand new podcast, they push you to the moon, you jump up the rankings. Um, some people game the system in other ways, but it's literally just us. Like it is us versus the world. And it's super rewarding when you kind of like look at it all, your hard work and having those self-doubts, like I feel like there are plenty of self-doubts in that regard where you think, I don't know if I can do this on my own. Are they right that we need them and not the other way around? But it just hasn't been the case.
So that self-doubt is still happening in your career despite, I mean, your resume speaks for itself. That's still occurring to you in your career right now.
Not anymore.
Okay.
I think when you're making that jump, like I thought I was going to be at Barstool for the rest of my life. It didn't work out that way, but I think when if you're like competitive or you want to be the best in the world at something, you have to take that leap. And I mean, like, yes, admittedly, like it would bother me when people were like, "Oh, you're Dave's bitch," and like you'd be nothing without Dave. I'm like, and in my head, I'm thinking like that's not true, but I can't
Yeah,
prove it. How do I prove
right.
that? Um, so yeah, like getting the opportunity to kind of like step out on our own here. Like obviously having the backing of DraftKings is great for, I guess, like credibility standpoints. Like, yeah, like a major sports book is down with these guys. But just from kind of getting an audience, like, hey, come on over, check us out. Like that's a hard thing to do on your own, but we're doing it. Like it's the podcast is, I mean, it's us and John Boy, really, like at the top.
Yeah, and that's actually I was gonna ask, like, I think feel like that's kind of the the playing field at the moment. But you said, you thought you were gonna work at Barstool for the rest of your life. Would you have been okay with that?
Um, yes and no. Like I think I was comfortable there. I was happy there. Like there's definitely that dynamic of your coworkers are almost like your second family. You spend so much time together, especially after the move to New York,
Yeah.
because a lot of people were not from New York. We all kind of came there and didn't have anyone else besides each other. So there was that like, hey, like this is like a family type deal. So that part, like I do miss, like I miss the people, but I think I always would have wondered, like, can you do it on your own? Like,
Mhm.
are you a product of the company or are you a product of your hard work? And I think it's a combination of both. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that, I mean, we would be doing what we're doing right now if I wasn't at Barstool first.
Yeah.
I know that Barstool helped me a ton. But there are definitely examples of people who go there and work there and move on and you never hear from them again. And there are examples of people who go there, move on, and they become even bigger stars. I'm not going to sit here and compare myself to Pat McAfee, but I think that we fall into the category of someone that worked there, moved on, and are in a better spot. Like I feel like we are in a better spot now because I mean, I'm not gonna like get into how other people feel about the Barstool brand. They obviously have a ton of diehard fans, but there are a lot of people that hate Barstool.
Mhm.
And that always bothered me, where people wouldn't give me a chance because of things that were said or done by other people. I was like, that's not fair. And they'd be like, well, you take a paycheck from that company and you know what the company's all about and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, dude, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's where I work. Like, judge me for what I say and what I do. So that was another thing about kind of moving on was, now I have the opportunity to be judged based on like what I do and what I say versus what other people do and what they say. Like I hated that so much.